Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Lamb. Welcome, bienvenue, and willkommen to our home at Miele Canada. As many of you are remaining in your home, safe with your families, we wanted to make sure that we are able to continue to provide you the services that you've come to expect of the Miele brand. I also want to send a very special welcome to viewers from across the country and our key business partners and their customers who are joining us online live today. From the West Coast, we have customers from Baker's Appliances, Avenue Appliances, Jerome Appliances, Midland Appliances, as well as our partners at Trail Appliances. Here in Toronto Central, we have a special welcome to customers from our partners at Appliance Canada, Tasco Appliances, and Goman's Appliances, as well as Creative Appliance Gallery. So we want to welcome you to this broadcast. Miele Live is really meant to help answer questions you may have about products that you already own in your home, products that you're interested in buying, or as well any services that we're continuing to offer. Pour ceux d'entre vous qui ont demandé pour des sessions en français, on travaille actuellement d'avoir des sessions dans des semaines qui viennent. Miele Live is completely and fully interactive. If you're watching on your YouTube channel, be sure to leave comments with your questions and we'll be sure to try to answer as many live during this broadcast. If you're watching on mielelive.ca, be sure to just leave a comment in the comment box on that page. For those that we aren't able to answer real time during this session, we'll be sure to get back to you again via the comment section, or if your question is a little more detailed, we'll send it to you via an email directly back to you. As many of you, again, are at home, you're enjoying that time with your family as well during these very challenging times. Today's topic may be very, very appropriate to you, is best about how to take care of your wine at home. I'm really excited today to have our product expert, Mike. Mike, welcome, to talk about a product that we enjoy talking about, wine and wine storage. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Mike, to take our viewers today through how to best take care of their investment in wine.
Thank you, Kelly. Wine, what a wide and ranging topic. To enjoy good wine, I think you need to very much consider its storage. And here at Miele, we do a really good job when it comes to providing you with storage solutions in your home to be able to get the most out of your wine investment, like Kelly said. Now, there's very few consumer products out there that you can actually go out and purchase today and with the right conditions, have that product actually improve over time. It's probably one of the most amazing things about wine, really, is that you can buy it today, and if you're giving it the right storage conditions, that wine will actually improve. Now, for that to happen, what are those variables? You need to control the amount of light that's getting at your wine and minimize that as much as possible. And by that, I mean UV rays that damage the wine and do a great job of killing it off quite quickly, in fact. The other factor that's important for good wine storage is temperature. You want a good, steady temperature and minimize the fluctuations. A lot of people will store their wine on their countertops at home, sometimes in direct light, and this is not good for your wines over time. That temperature swing, you want it to be stored at around 13 to 14 degrees Celsius and minimize those fluctuations, like I said. So what we ultimately want to do is mimic the conditions you would find in a traditional wine cellar. What comes to mind when I talk about a wine cellar? Immediately, the vision of a dark, maybe subterranean cavern that's below ground, obviously, at a constant temperature and out of direct light. Those are the kind of conditions we try to mimic at Miele with our wine storage solutions. We're going to get into that in a minute. What are the other variables for important wine preservation? We talked about light, temperature. The other one might be humidity. A lot of wines, and especially fine wines, are corked and require humidity to be able to control that wine stopper that's going to basically protect your wine from oxidization, and having it kept in a nice humid environment, not too humid obviously. That's going to help with wine preservation and the maturation process of your wines. So we've talked about 3 variables. What about the fourth? The fourth is security, storing your wine in a secure and stable place. Wine has been made for thousands of years, and there's actually evidence that even in early Greek civilizations that wine was obviously vinified and produced, but quite quickly the attention turned to good wine storage. Because storage, in essence, will deliver you a good final product in the glass when it comes time to actually enjoying that fine wine. So without further ado, we're going to show you wine storage solutions here at Mila. Okay.
So Mike, we obviously have various models. Which one are you going to start with this morning?
Well, we're going to take a look at our MasterCool series of wine storage solutions. Before us here, we have our 3-zone MasterCool KWT wine storage solution. It's 24 inches wide. It's meant to integrate into parts of your home, either your kitchen or even in a simulated wine cellar situation where you have this maybe in a basement or a different part of your home, a library. But you can integrate it quite seamlessly with a bank of refrigeration from MasterCool in your kitchen, so should you choose to do so. It instantly becomes quite the talking point in a kitchen. With its ambient lighting system of LED lights on all levels, produces quite the emotional standout in the home, especially for when guests come over, and instantly it becomes a focal point for entertaining. I'm going to open up the wine system. This is one of a series of versions we have. This one happens to be hinged from the right. Keep in mind that all our wine systems can be purchased in the MasterCool configuration with either a right hinged version or hinges on your left, opening up with a handle on the right, and vice versa. Also, to explain the differences in our wine offerings in the MasterCool series, we have versions with a Sommelier kit in the middle temperature zone, or you can bypass that and purchase a unit that has full storage within all 3 temperature zones. Now the difference there, and we'll explain the benefits of a Sommelier kit, but instantly your capacity increases from a wine storage perspective when you go with the full racking configuration. In the current configuration we see here, we have capacity for roughly about 77 Bordeaux style wine bottles. When you go full storage, you can fit roughly about 104 bottles of a similar style. So I'm going to open the wine storage unit now, but before I do, I want to point out the glass. One of the variables we want to control here is the entry of UV light, and we want to bar it completely. So the glass door here allows you to look in, but what it doesn't allow is for UV light to come in and damage wines. Especially in wine bottles that are clear, UV light will attack that wine quite quickly and actually kill it off within days if you're not careful. So if you're just storing wine out in the open, the first thing you want to do is make sure you get it out of direct sunlight. So I'm going to open up the wine fridge now, and I'm going to show you one of our cool features that we have on our MasterCool wine storage, and that's the push to open feature. You may have missed that, so I'm just going to run it through again. And this is conducive of perhaps installing the wine system in a handleless kitchen. Obviously we have a handle here, but if I didn't have a handle, I could just push to open. Again, giving you that really nice feeling of being able to integrate seamlessly into the design of a handleless kitchen. Now, we've opened this up. We see 3 distinct temperature zones, and these can be controlled individually. Why do we have 3 different temperature zones? Well, if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with wine, and we know that different wine likes to be served at different temperatures. And hence why in a Miele storage system, such as the one we see here, we have different temperature zones. They're all independently controlled and can be set at precise increments of 1 Celsius between a range of approximately 5 degrees Celsius all the way up to 20 degrees Celsius. And that's controlled with our interface up top. And we'll get into that in a minute. So how would I set this wine storage system up in my house? This is a great solution, perhaps to have your bottom section where you're storing the vast majority of your wine. And wine likes to be stored, if it's being cellared, at approximately 13 degrees Celsius. And again, with as little variation in that temperature as possible. And so with this bottom section, perhaps at my house, I would do that. I would use this as my main cellaring section for wine. And here, with its full view, beechwood shelving, I've just pulled out the entire shelf. I get a good view of each of my bottles in storage, and I can rest assured that the wine is going to be cared for a very long period of time, so should I choose to store it as such. Now, how do we fit 104 or 77 bottles in here? And you'll notice the configuration that I have assembled here. I have tip to tip, and you'll see that if you store your wines as such, you can fit a number of bottles on each of the shelves. Now, the beauty of the struts that are embedded in each of the shelves means that I can remove each of these struts and place them according to the format of the bottle I'm using. So should I have perhaps a champagne magnum or a larger format 3-liter bottle or 1.5-liter bottle, I can reconfigure the struts in my flexible shelving unit to fit that. Same goes for half bottle situations. Sometimes you get a hold of a nice release with 300 half bottle, 300 ml bottles. You can basically stack them on the shelving unit and adjust your struts to cradle the bottle in the perfect position. The other cool thing that we'll notice on these racks are these black, well, if you don't know what they are, they're actually chalkboards, or note boards as we call them, that can be labeled with the wine that you actually have on the shelf, or maybe the date or the person who gave you the wine. And you can use a piece of chalk to write on this note board. It can be removed, it is magnetic, and you can use chalk to then write on that note board.
Mike, when you talked about the different variables obviously affecting wine storage, is there a specific reason or the benefits of using, you mentioned beechwood, which we do in these fridges. What's those benefits?
Well, number one, it gives you a really nice kind of emotional response. When you open a wine cellar and you see wood, it immediately harkens back to kind of that rustic nature of perhaps a wine cellar. But beechwood is a great insulator, so it's not going to affect your wines, especially the wines that are resting up against here, especially fragile wines. But also it's a renewable resource, so they're easily, it's a renewable resource, so therefore its impact on the environment is quite negligible. And also its low odor emissions, it won't affect the flavor profiles of delicate wines over time as well. So hence why we're using beech as a storage solution for our racks in our MasterCool series.
And maybe, Mike, if you wouldn't mind answering, so Helen out there has a question in regards, you talked about how beautiful, obviously, the wine fridge itself looks. Does the inside lighting affect the wine, the lighting that we use?
Well, that's one of the temperatures we want to control, light and also temperature, but we're happy to say that the lighting systems in our wine units are all LED, and so therefore the heat emissions from the lighting system themselves is negligible. So it does not affect the actual temperature within the wine system. If they were halogen, you definitely want to make sure that they're on for very short periods of time, and if you have a display light inside your wine units, they should always be LED so as not to degrade your wine over time. You definitely don't want to expose it to any kind of heat source. And so the lighting systems in our wine systems are LED. And we have a number of different configurable ambient lighting profiles that you can select from as well. So if you're entertaining and you want to highlight perhaps a number of wines on the Sommelier set, or if you want to display some wines, you can turn up your ambient lighting profile so that you perhaps make more of an emphasis on the wines that you're storing.
Perfect. So Mike, one thing I think viewers can notice, this wine fridge configuration is a little more untraditional than others because the middle area presents wine or stores wines very differently. And it seems like there's more than just wines in there. You mentioned sommelier sets.
Yeah, so the Sommelier set, let's talk about wine storage. So if you're a real serious wine collector, let's face it, you probably have a room in your home that's dedicated to the cellaring of wines. You're buying wine by the case, you're getting releases, but what are you doing with that wine as it makes its journey to the table or to the glass? You want to be able to control that temperature from cellar to glass. And so Sommelier solution that we have in this particular configuration allows you to not only store your wines, but also serve your wines at the ideal temperature. So with the Sommelier configuration you have here, I'm just going to show you some of the neat features. I really like it because, like I said, wine can be stored at 13 degrees over a long period of time, but you're never going to really serve a red, mature table wine at 13 degrees. It's perhaps a little bit too cool. You want to serve it maybe at around 17 or 18 degrees Celsius. And so that's why if I'm having perhaps guests over for a dinner party, I'm cellaring my wines, and then to temper them, I would use another temperature zone to bring them up to serving temperature. And the Sommelier set is a beautiful solution to this dilemma, if you will. I'm just going to pull out part of the Sommelier set, and instantly our eyes are driven to this beautiful decanter from Riedel. And we'll talk more about this partnership in a second. But this is a great place to put down a decanter. If you're into wine, you know that decanting your wines are a great way to bring in a really nice flavor profile and have your wine kind of breathe. A good red table wine, Bordeaux, as it's in the bottle, it's not in its truest expression. And so therefore, by decanting the wine, you're exposing surface area, and you're allowing that wine to really come into its own as the winemaker kind of intended it to be consumed. So we suggest decanting your wine 3 to 4 hours before actually serving it. You wouldn't do that with every wine, but sure, you would if it was a really nice first growth Chateau wine perhaps. And so decanting it really makes it, it takes it to the next level. And so this is a great way to decant that. You would decant your wine into a decanter, and then you would close this up and let it temper at that 16, 17, 18 degrees Celsius mark for the perfect expression as it goes into glass. Okay, so what else is happening in the Sommelier kit? You may have noticed a couple of compartments off to the side. You noticed a couple of hanging glasses on this stemware holder, and this all folds out because if we're talking about cool chain integrity and keeping that wine at temperature, there's nothing like having your glassware a true reflection of that temperature. So if your wine is decanted at 18 degrees Celsius, your wine glasses are 18 degrees Celsius. They're not coming out of a hot cabinet at 23, 24 degrees Celsius. And so it's all about maintaining that precise temperature that's ideal for wine consumption. So this is a great way to store your glasses, but also have them come to temperature. For example, if you're drinking a nice crisp white wine in the middle of summer, there's nothing like putting your wine into a chilled glass to maintain that temperature and make it more enjoyable for consumption over time. So this is a really nice place to store those wines. They're nestled in and great for serving as well. Now on this decanter pedestal, you can put maybe a bunch of grapes, maybe some nice block of cheese. That's gonna add to kind of that presentation and wow factor for when you're entertaining guests. But even on the day-to-day, this is a great spot to maybe store your favorite corkscrew, maybe a special cork from a nice bottle of champagne that you want to hold on to as a memento. But one of the tips that we have for wine storage or storing open bottles, you'll notice is a bit of a dilemma when you're having to lean your bottles down, because of course wine wants to be leaned over on its side so that that cork is kept moist over time. But let's say it's the middle of the week and you just want a glass for the night's proceedings. What do you do with the rest of that bottle post opening? That's why we suggest storing your bottle obviously upright. And this is the great part of this Sommelier kit, is that you can store an upright bottle here that's been opened perhaps. And we also recommend getting oxygen out of that bottle as much as possible between servings. Now, it's not going to keep the bottle with a vacuum pump that can be purchased generally anywhere, online for sure, and a rubber stopper. You would just put this in here post opening and try to remove as much oxygen as possible. That's going to preserve that wine so that it's pretty good to consume for the next couple of days. And you're keeping it at temperature upright. It's a really nice, elegant solution to kind of wine storage. Just keep in mind, these are accessories that you would purchase on your own. Maybe a drip stop. This is a great storage solution for the accoutrements that would come along with wine consumption. One of the other things I would keep in here is maybe that chalk piece so that I can, write on here. I'm just writing Margaux. My handwriting's pretty bad. But you can maybe put the date that you purchased the wine or the region from where the wine originates. And then when it's time to remove, you can just lift that up out of the way and wipe this down so that you can start new when you replace that wine. So the Sommelier kit is a great tempering solution for wine on its way from storage to the glass. Now that third zone can be used also as a storage solution at a different temperature, but maybe you want your whites ready for serving at 6 degrees Celsius, or your champagne. We all know that champagne demands a cooler temperature than a red wine or even Sauvignon Blanc, for example. So you maybe set this temperature zone, and I'll just show you how I would do that in this particular scenario. While I focus in on the interface, I would simply touch the temperature display on the left side, and then I can easily control which zone I want to use. And if I wanted to control this top zone, it's highlighted in amber. And then if I want to just say OK, and then I can lower this temperature. For example, if I want to serve this, and these are champagne bottles here, and I want to serve them at 6 degrees Celsius, I've just changed, in essence, the temperature up here.
So Mike, so that's one way of actually controlling or interfacing with the fridge. Is there another way as well?
Magic wand, if you have, no. Wi-Fi connectivity. Through our mobile at-home app at Mila, we're basically unlocking some of the features that you're able to control through the interface from the comfort of your mobile phone. So you can change, just like I changed the temperatures here. And let's say this was in storage mode, but I knew guests were coming over, and I'm not necessarily near my wine fridge. From my mobile phone, I can fire up my app and change the temperature in each of the zones. So yeah, you can control that. In addition to that, you can control the ambient lighting profile, as well as receive any alarms for temperature changes in the fridge, because each of our wine storage solutions comes with an alarm to notify you if the fridge falls above a certain temperature that it has been set at. So if the door has been left ajar, for example, you'll get a notification on your app as well. So yeah, you can control it through mobile at home, which is a great little feature, and also gives you peace of mind, because let's face it, when you consider the average price of wine and you're talking about multiplying that across 70, 100 bottles, it's quite a significant investment. And if you're on vacation and you get a notification that the door's been left ajar, there's some questions that certainly need to be answered. Okay, excuse me. We've talked about our shelving, our lighting, our interface. I want to also talk about this storage space in closing is a great spot to also store beer, believe it or not. I know craft brewing is more and more a topic, but if you're serving perhaps a porter or a Belgian double, you want really nice, precise temperatures for serving craft beer. And so this is a great spot to store it, and you can also configure your flexi shelving to support your favorite bottles of stout, for example. So yeah, now that I'm gonna close off my Sommelier kit, I'm just gonna close this up. I want to talk also and show our viewers today about an alternative to wine storage. Just keep in mind that this 3-zone storage system is configurable so that you don't have a Sommelier kit, that instead you have a storage solution in that middle zone. Now, what if you don't have the room for a full height MasterCool wine storage solution? I would suggest that you perhaps entertain the possibility of going with one of our under-counter wine storage solutions. At Mila, we have 2 wine storage solutions that would fit under counter. We have them here, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Now, keep in mind that these wine storage units, as installed here, are raised slightly off the ground. A counter would perhaps not be this high, but this is the beauty of these units. They can actually be placed higher or lower, depending on the design in your kitchen. Now, you're asking yourself, where is the handle on these units? Again, going with that handleless design theme that we have in many modern kitchen designs, we've left the handle off the fronts of these units. And so they respond to simply a touch to open. So it's a soft opening that's obviously detecting just a touch, if you will. So I would touch there, the door would prop itself open, and I see 2 different under-counter wine configurations. Now, a lot of the benefits we see in MasterCool have been transposed into these under-counter units, as we call them. On the left, we have 2 temperature zone unit, which is great for tempering or storing your whites and your reds separate from each other. The bottle capacity in a 2-zone unit, such as you see here, is roughly around 32, 33 bottles of Bordeaux, depending on how you're storing them and the size of those bottles. So you're looking at a good kind of solution without having to invest a whole load of space, perhaps. So this would be great on the end of an island in a kitchen and is a great solution to getting wine to temperature for consumption. This is a 2-zone system, and you can control easily with this sensor key bank that's familiar to you and have both temperatures set, obviously, at different levels so that you can maximize enjoyment of different flavor profiles in different wines, reds and whites. So on the other side here, we have our single zone unit with Sommelier kit, and it's reminiscent of the Sommelier kit in our MasterCool unit. We have a great rack to be able to support stemware and also house maybe an open bottle. Again, I like in a Sommelier kit to be able to put down some fine cheese, maybe some fruit for post-dinner, but this is a great staging area for your wines as they make their way to the table. So you see that Mila wine storage is mimicking and trying to control. We see our door alarm going off, reminding us that our door on the wine unit is open. You see Mila wine storage systems have taken into account the controlling of those key variables to good wine storage, and also for good premium wine consumption. Wine at the right temperature when you need it, and storing wine over time so that that wine doesn't mature too quickly and doesn't get damaged over time, because as we know, wine can be quite the investment. Why leave it to chance?
So Mike, that was a lot of information. That's been great. Maybe we can try to take a couple of questions as time has kind of flown by. So Jordan out there, Jordan, thanks for watching us today and being with us live. Is there a locking feature on either of the two fridges?
Yeah, sorry, a locking feature. I know where you're getting with this, and we get this question from time to time. Unfortunately, the fridges as they come do not come with a locking mechanism. It'd be nice if we had maybe biometric capability to keep your teenagers out of your wine stock. But with the under counter, we do not. And certainly with MasterCool from factory, they do not come with locking mechanisms. You would be left to configure your own locking mechanism through your millwork. And that can be quite complex given the features like push to open that we have on the wine units. So the stock answer would be no, we do not have a locking solution for you.
Perfect. I think we have time for two more questions. So you talked about the different variables again that affect wine storage, humidity being one. Jordan has another question. Humidity is a key component of proper wine storage. How does this product integrate that aspect into wine storage? How do we handle that?
Yeah, so the humidity is a key component. Obviously, inside the bottle, you have the wine keeping one end of the cork moist. With cap or screw cap bottles, you don't have to worry so much about humidity. But with those corks, you want to maintain the outside leading edge of that cork also moist. And so with our units, each of the temperature zones can be in our MasterCool units, be set so that they actually take humidity from the cooling cycle in the actual product. So by selecting, there's a configurable setting for each of the zones where you can actually say, I want humidity on this level. And so by clicking the little raindrop, it looks like, you'll actually be telling the unit to deliver humidity to that particular zone, and that humidity is generated in the actual cooling cycle, compressor, evaporator, within the actual unit itself. It's quite ingenious, and it also, again, leads to making sure that your wine is protected from the number one enemy of wine, and that, of course, is oxygen, and keeping that cork nice and locked in place.
Perfect. And we'll take one last question from Martha out there. So Martha has a question about the MasterCool unit. She obviously sees the under-counter cabinet. We have under-counter unit. We have it set up side by side here. If one MasterCool unit's not enough, from a design perspective, is there an easy way to actually have two that would look very elegant?
Yes, Martha. With the addition of a meal immersion kit between each of the units, that's the only caveat that I would mention. You can literally install these side by side in a wall. We've seen some pretty elaborate wine cellars with units abutted against each other in a lineup. I've seen as much as 6 of these units lined up side by each, giving you obviously enormous capacity. But with the addition of a meal immersion kit, which we would stipulate as necessary because of controlling temperature changes between one unit and the next and controlling condensation that may build up, that is really the only caveat. But you can put 6, 10 of these in a row and really take that wine storage to the next level.
Great, thanks, Mike. I think that's been, time has really flown by. It's been really informative to get not just an understanding of our lineup, but actually some tips and tricks on wine storage. So thanks for that. For those that are interested in buying right now, what type of programs do we have or promotions do we have that include the Mila wine storage units?
So currently until April the 30th, we have, as part of our complete cooking program, a component that includes refrigeration as a piece or a key to unlock additional savings. So when you tether your cooling product with cooking product, you can take advantage of savings starting at 7.5% off to all the way up to 10% off of the suite of package that you're looking at. So just keep that in mind. It's part of MasterCool, and so therefore can unlock savings with our complete cooking program.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Mike, for that great session on wine. And I think it's important to note a lot of what Mike talked about in regards to the understanding of wine storage. We also have a global partnership with Riedel, who is also a family-owned business, and the expertise that they've brought in the product development part of these wine fridges, as well as actually how to clean these glasses in regards to dishwasher, has very much been part of our global partnership. With every Riedel wine box that you buy, you will see a stamp of approval from Riedel exclusively recommending Mila. So that's a partnership that we value very much and provides expertise in regards to not only proper glass care, but also proper wine storage for us. Talking about, many of you have questions about what services are available right now from Mila, given our current situation, again, that we're all in right now. If you are interested in buying Mila products, there's a couple ways to do this. First of all, have a look on Mila.ca at our retailer locator to see which one of our retail partners are actually open. Again, we thank those retailers that have continued to support us and especially invited your guests to join us on Mila Live today. But be sure to do that. Visit Mila.ca and check out which one of our retail partners are open to service you during this time. As well, Mila.ca is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Easy for you to buy there, so be sure to check out what we have available there as well. On any care products, we actually have free shipping right now to make that easier for you. The other way is a new service that we have, which is a personal product consultation by telephone. You can actually book an appointment on Mila.ca there, and you can speak to one of our product experts who will be able to actually assist you, answer any questions that you have, and actually take your order by telephone if you want at that point in time. We're really excited later next week, and be sure to visit milalive.ca to get the latest updates on this. You'll actually be able to book a two-way virtual sales consultation and with one of our product consultants in one of our Mila Experience Centers. You'll be able to look at them face-to-face, look at product more specifically, and they'll be able to guide you through any purchase questions that you have there. That'll be available starting later next week, so again, be sure to visit Mila.ca for more details. Our Mila installation delivery teams, as well as technical service teams, are available, operating nationally right now. They do have revised guidelines there. Be sure to visit Mila.ca to get all the details. That is really just to ensure the safety of you, our customers, as well as our team at home. As well as you are at home, but we're trying to, and all of us are trying to continue life as best we can. We want to continue to celebrate with friends and family. On Mila.ca, the shop, you can actually purchase a Mila e-gift card to share with your friends and family. Again, a perfect way to celebrate. Before we sign off for today, be sure to turn on your subscription notice on your YouTube channel, subscribe, register on milalive.ca for future sessions to come this afternoon at 3 p.m. We will be doing a detailed session on the Mila built-in coffee system. If you've just recently purchased one, we're going to walk you through from start to finish the setup of that. And then at 5 o'clock, we're doing a live demo featuring some specialty bread baking functions in our MasterChef ovens. So you be sure to tune in and don't want to miss that. We want to thank you for your time. And very lastly, on behalf of Mike, myself, the entire Mila team, we want to thank all of the frontline essential workers that are out there right now, ensuring that our community across Canada has the necessary medical attention, if anybody needs medical attention, food services, food delivery services, grocery, public transportation. We really sincerely want to send our gratitude to all of you out there for the services that you are providing to our community. We hope all of you remain safe. You have a fantastic weekend coming up if you don't join us in the later sessions. But be sure to tune in next week for some new sessions we have. Mike will be back, as well as the rest of the team. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, and we wish you an amazing weekend.